Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
Today we're reviewing the first episode of Conan the Adventurer. Again! I'm kidding. No, actually this time is live action. The TV series was shot in Mexico and broadcast in 1997. And it certainly feels a bit like a Hercules Legendary Journeys light. The first little bit of the episode made me wish I was watching Hercules, to be quite honest, as it was really missing Hercules, Aeolus, and just generally the feel of Hercules to an extent. It felt like it was trying to aim for that, but it couldn't quite get it. Once again, we have Conan basically in the buff, which it's just, can we just get him cloth? Normally he's wearing armor in battle. Why is he half naked? What's with this obsession with basically getting him nude? That said, the villain is a dude called Hissazul, which is such a weird name. Okay, he's played by, I think his name is Jeremy Kemp, a great actor. That guy is just so great. The first episode is called The Heart of the Elephant Part 1, but it has very little to do with the Heart of the Elephant short story. It does not have the same plot. It just shares the name, and they're just obviously trying to cash in on the short story by Robert E. Howard. Conan is basically the Wizard King. Hissazul fears Conan being the tool of destiny to kill him. I'm saying he's the tool of destiny, sort of. And Hissazul consults with a skeleton for this information and then sends two of his lackeys out to deal with Conan. Meanwhile, Conan is outsmarted by local villagers who want the meat he's hunted because they're not capable of hunting themselves, but they're willing to poach off someone who is capable of hunting, while sending a girl in to distract him and whatnot, which I will admit, a beautiful young woman is certainly capable of distracting Conan in the short stories. But this kind of trick, I don't think it would work with Conan to an extent. I have a hard time seeing him fall for it. He's normally such a crafty character. But if he did fall for it, he would be initially a little angry, and then he'd grab the girl and chuck her over his shoulder and say, all right, she's mine. Dibs. Him letting her go because she says, listen, I can cook you a good meal and whatnot. Conan might still just grab her and chuck her over his shoulder and say, screw it, you're cooking for me then elsewhere, not in your village. Screw your village. He does have that side to his character. But on the other hand, if it did come to it, I imagine the way the line is delivered that, so I'm to be a guest at my own meal, is delivered good-naturedly, but Conan would probably say it grimly with a hint of anger and frustration. This actor does not have the darker side Conan has, which I don't mind a heroic Conan to an extent, but this guy comes off too nice for Conan. Conan should have an edge to him. He is a dangerous man. He's a good man, but he's dangerous. Conan is not supposed to be safe. And he's a barbarian, But anyways, him and the girl Tamira get caught by the Wizard King's lackey, and Conan then ends up forced into a gladiator match, fights his way out, whilst he was supposed to kill one of the opposite gladiators, chooses to subdue the guy, then kill the guard next to him, basically making it clear to the man, side with me or die. Which that gladiator decides he doesn't really feel like dying. And so basically decides to agree to become Conan's lackey because the alternative is not pleasant, which that's pretty true to the actual short stories. Then Conan goes off to try to find the girl and rescue her, finds a sword in a cave, and that doesn't go over well. So there are nods to Conan the Barbarian movie, such as the sword having runes on it, like Conan's father's sword, and there are nods to the short stories, but overall, I don't know, the feel isn't quite right. This might sound weird, but it's almost too bright and sunny. I don't mind there being day shots. The thing about the 1982 movie was I felt like an opera. Even during the day when it was very bright, it almost felt like it was overcast in a way. It wasn't. There was a feeling of darkness to the movie, which that's important to Conan in stories. This does not have that darkness. It's just so weird. Maybe they should have gone in the direction of doing something like hiring the 1989 Punisher director as one of the producers. That was a bit of a campy Punisher movie, but there was still a bit of the darkness of Punisher. So that might have been the better approach. I can at least say that some things are gotten right in the cartoon that are not quite right here, but there are things here that are done. But let's rate this episode.
I suppose 1 star. I like the acting of the villains. They do get things right. Some of the action is well choreographed.
Yeah, and they at least have Conan kill people. which in Hercules' Legendary Journeys, it's fine if Herc doesn't kill. And I found Xena eventually was just killing too many people. So I was like, wow, is she back to being a villainess here? Like, what's going on? Because she swore not to kill, only to start mass murdering people. And that was a little funny about the Xena show. I'm not bashing the show or saying I hate it. I'm just saying it was one of those peculiar things about the show. But here, Conan is not a superhero. He's the guy who should be murdering people like Xena was.
I suppose there's a part of it that makes me want to go watch Hercules' Legendary Journey. So I'm going to take that as a plus.
Yeah. For me, weirdly, I'm actually going to rate it a little higher, although I was whining a bit more during the watching of it. I'm going to say it as 1.5 star. The actress for Tamara looks great. She does what the actual damsel is supposed to do, just want Conan. That said, she has the feel of some of the Conan girlfriends. Some of the lesser ones, not the more memorable ones like Zenobia or
Baylor
or even Valyria. There is a feel there that's correct. Conan looks the part, at least physically, although I think he should be dressed in a hauberk and greaves and maybe boots, because that's Conan. He does dress in armor, rather more like Caramon Magir from Dragonlance, dressing himself in mismatched armor taken from his enemies. He takes what's the best of his enemy's armor for himself. That makes sense. Put Conan in his armor, like he should be. He doesn't fight in the buff.
That would probably raise aspects of my rating if they actually...
The villains are pretty good. They, to an extent, feel like Howard villains. The CG is not the best, but it's the 90s. Who cares? We can overlook that. The writing at a few points was weak, at other points strong. I find too much time was spent on the gladiator duo who joined Conan. I don't care about them. Get rid of them. It's fine if they fought for liberty, but return them in a later episode. Don't keep using them as an ongoing duo. The dwarf, he's good for a temporary character, but I hope he doesn't become a permanent cast member. The thing with Conan is the only permanent cast member here, other than the villains, should be him. And for the girlfriend, they should maybe discard her after a few episodes. Bring in a new one, just because it's Conan. Like, he goes for girlfriends. The only ones I feel that should be main ongoing girlfriends for an entire series almost might be Valyria or Zenobia. But that has to do with the fact that Valyria basically becomes one of his harem girls, and she vows not to let him out of her sight so long as she can wield a sword. And Zenobia because she's the main love interest of the Conan stories, or at least from Hour of the Dragon. So I'm just saying, this is kind of my view of it. I like Baalet a lot, but she's supposed to be killed off. There are things done right, things done wrong. I don't know where it's going to go. Let us know if you want us to continue reviewing. We might do one more review after the Red Nails chapter, and then we're going to do nothing but horror content till the end of October, because it'd be kind of appropriate to focus on the horror side of Conan, which there is a lot to that. A lot of horror and Lovecraftian stuff in Conan the Barbarian. And I think it's about time we approached that side of the Hyborian Age universe, as we haven't really touched on it yet. We've left that mostly to grimdark World of Conan to touch upon, but now it's time for us to do that. So if you're excited for that sort of stuff and Red Nails and a lot of our other content, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Conan and Zenobia on their honeymoon destroying zombies.